Welcome back to our EOC review. Today we're going to focus on property of functions. And here we're going to start by just identifying what is a function. It says a function is a relation that assigns each input exactly one output. Just one output. It only have one output. So your X is not going to repeat, okay? Then it says representations of functions will show each X value paired to exactly one Y value. So your input is your X value, your output is your Y value, and it says a graph is a function if it passes the vertical line test, okay? And then here we have to decide are these functions or not. So let's look at this first on the left. So this one's going to pass the vertical line test because anywhere where I draw a vertical line, it's only going to touch the graph one time. And then my X values in this table, 0, 1, 2, 3, none of them repeat. We don't care if the Y value repeats. All we care about is that our X value does not repeat. So this side is a function. This represents functions. And then over here, do you see how on this graph, when I draw a vertical line, I'm going to touch it not once, not twice, but 3 times. So that's not a function. And then here our X value has 6, goes to 15 and to 9. So it's got 2 outputs. So this is not a function. Okay, so let's look here where it says evaluating functions. Evaluating is when you are going to plug in the value for X and solve for Y. So F is the name of the function. And then this whole piece right here is f of x. We read it f of x, okay? And it is equal to our y. And then this last piece down here where the arrow is pointing to the x is just the input value. So it says, example 1, evaluate f of 5 for the function above. So what that says is that anywhere where there's an x, we're going to put a 5 because remember this would be f of x. So this piece here is your x. So we're going to say 3 times 5 plus 9. And we can go directly to our calculator and plug that in. We can just say, okay, 3 times 5 plus 9 is 24. And then it says evaluate f of 2 for the function below. So here we're looking at this graph and it says f of 2. Remember, this is our x. So where x is 2, see how they have this arrow pointing down here? Our y value is -3. So f of 2 equals -3. When x is 2, y is -3. Okay? All right, let's look at this next piece here. This is talking about domain and range. So domain is the set of possible input or x values, okay? So our domain, we read from left to right. So I'm also going to put myself a note there that I read it left to right. So this right here represents my domain because I'm reading it left to right. Okay, and then the set of possible output is my range. I'm going to change the color just so that they're different here. So output is my range or your y values. And so range is read from bottom to top. Oh, this is range. You always want to go from least to greatest. So we're going to say bottom to the top. Okay? And it says find the domain and range of the function graphed above. So for domain, I'm going to start over here on at my leftmost point, which is -4. And that's a closed circle there, so I'm going to include it, meaning I'm going to put less than or equal to. And since we're talking about my x values, I'm going to put an x here. And I go all the way to my rightmost point, which is +4. And again, that circle is closed, so we're going to include that value, less than or equal to 4. And that just means that x is between -4 and +4. Okay? Then we're going to, I'm going to kind of erase this because we're going to look at range now. And range, again, we read from the bottom. So this is my lowest point. That's -3, and that's a solid line, so that's included. So it's going to be less than or equal to y, because we're talking about range now, which is our vertical values. And it's going to go to this point here, which is +1. And again, that they both have closed circles on them, so we're going to include it, and that's going to be +1.